I think what Jerry's trying to say is that expect Coach Day and everything on top of that is just gravy. You know, be be thankful for what you get beyond Coach Day. Coach Day, since when is Coach Day not enough for you guys? That's my question.
to have him back. Can't get into specifics on it, but it was a couple of weeks he was out there, and we plan to have him practicing this week.
How is he dealing with everything? Because he'd be in the gears of starter. How is he dealing with everything?
Yeah, he seems to be doing well. I think he's looking forward to getting back out there and getting practicing and feeling better. So he needs to get back into the rhythm of practicing, and then once you get healthy again, then you get back on the field, you start to feel better. But until then, yeah, he probably wants to get going and get anxious. Yeah.
Second row right, Julie Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch. Ryan, Harry Miller in August looked like he was in the competition for that center spot. And when the second team came in late in the game, looked like he was at left guard. Do you still see him as a center? Are you looking at him more as a guard? Where does kind of he fit in now?
He's probably more of a swing guy now. He can do both, and which is good. Anytime you have versatility and you can play both, that's a good thing. So, played it last year and played it obviously in the preseason. So, again, both positions.
Has Luke done enough at this point through 6 games that this is starting spot kind of going forward?
Keep working at it, but so far, I've been pleased with the way he's played. He's been solid across the board. We'll keep evaluating, keep looking. We have rotated guys in and out of there, which has been good. As we have a pretty deep offensive line room, which is a value obviously as we head into the second half of the season.
So fourth row left, Jacob Benji, the Lantern.
Hey Ryan, I wanted to ask you about special teams and punt returns in particular. Just after seeing Emeka kind of burst on the scene in kick returns, just what goes into the decision to leave Garrett Wilson out there on punts? Because we've seen guys like Ronnie Bell and Dante Demas get hurt on plays like that. So just when you have a guy like Emeka back there, what goes into the decision to leave Garrett out there when he's such a big part of the offense?
Yeah, kickoff returns, and as you know, and punt returns are very, very different. The punt returns, nowadays they can, they can kind of hold up the punt a little bit and allow in college everyone to get downfield, which is different than in the pros. And so you see a lot of the Australian rules guys come over and kind of hold it up a little bit and rugby style things like that. And you can have multiple gunners, so it's a little harder to get those punt returns going. We've been working really hard. We were close, a couple blocks away just last week to getting that done. And so that part we feel like we're closer than we've been. And he's a reliable guy back there. It's very important to have a guy like that. And when you have somebody back there who you believe in can take it back, that motivates the guys in the entire unit to play and to give them a chance. But in terms of the punt returning, that's a much different deal than a kickoff return. Kickoff return, there's just a lot of momentum on both sides, and so it's one of those things we've looked at really, really hard to decide if last year, as we didn't do that. We tried to take the ball to 25. This year, we're picking and choosing our spots. We think that it's appropriate, and a big part of that is the guys who are on that unit. It's not just the returner; it's everybody involved.
Offense, it seemed like every time you had the ball, you scored at the end of a series. So I know your hands deep in the offense and play calling and whatnot, but who else do you want to highlight that goes into making the decisions on offense and play calling and have it just roll and roll that teams can hardly keep up with it?
Well, it's everybody, and it's when things go good, when things go bad, you try to figure out why that is. But we have very, very good players. That's the first thing, and those guys are doing a good job right now of executing. But in terms of the game planning and play calling, Kevin and I, do it together, and then certainly Stud and Tony and Brian Hartline and Corey and all the guys in that entire room help put that plan together on a weekly basis. And but the most important thing is certainly a clean plan, but practicing well and executing at a high level during the week, so that when you get to the game and you put it back on the field, you can't just show up on Saturday and expect that to happen. So if we want to continue to build, we have to continue to practice better.
Ryan, we saw Cam Brown leave the game early on Saturday. Kind of what's his prognosis?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll practice this week. We'll kind of go day to day and see how he's feeling. But he's a guy who's been playing when he's up and out there. He's done a good job. It's just he's had a hard time staying on the field, and so hopefully this is just another bump in the road. But once he gets back, he's a big part of our defense.
Think he'll be back for the Indiana game?
I hope so. Yeah, we'll see. We can probably get a better idea towards the middle of the week.
Group as a whole, obviously both Cam and Seven have both had to deal with some injuries. Just how do you feel about where that position is in terms of who you got starting out there and your depth there?
I feel solid about it. I don't know if I can sit here and tell you I feel great about that right now. midway through the season. I think we're better than we were 6 weeks ago. But overall, still looking for more consistency and more production from that spot.
Just your thoughts, Ryan, on the Big Ten having 5 teams in the top 10, and what is it about the conference that maybe has changed since you've been here, and why there are that many teams at the top?
Yeah, I don't know if I can put my finger on it, but we have some great coaches in this league. We have some great universities who do a great job recruiting, and it's exciting. It's exciting for our conference, and we got some of these big games coming up here in the next 6 weeks, but it's great for the conference, and we're obviously excited to play them.
Hi, Ryan. Early in the year when you guys were struggling, you admitted you weren't sleeping very well. How are you sleeping now? And I say that in the context of how good do you feel about where you guys are right now?
Yeah, I don't know how well I'm still sleeping. We still got a lot of football left. We haven't done anything yet. But I think that there is some confidence being built. You can see that some guys are starting to settle into some roles, and that's a good thing. And we're not doing everything for the first time. And I think when we walk onto the field, we're expecting a high level of execution in all 3 phases. And because of that, there's just a confidence about the team right now that's good. But the competition is going to increase. We're going to have to go on the road here, a night game at Indiana, and play well here, pretty soon. And the games are just going to get bigger and bigger. So, we still have a young team that hasn't changed, but having 6 games under our belt, I do think we're in a better place than we were six games ago.
And in your mind, what are still the biggest issues, the biggest questions you guys have to answer?
I don't know if it's 1 or 2 things. I just think that as the competition increases, things get harder and harder. Executing at a high level and using fundamentals and taking care of the football and tackling and all those types of situations. Because when you play in matchup games or you play in tight games, every play matters. Every rep matters, and all it can take is 1 or 2 plays, and your whole day can be ruined. And while we played well the last couple of weeks, that wasn't really the case where it was come down to 1 or 2 plays. And so, just continually focusing on that and fundamentals, and winning the wars up front on the offensive defensive line, stopping the run, running the football, playing situational football. It's going to come down to some short yardage plays here in some of these tight games, some red zone execution, those type of things.
What do you want to get done this week? I know you got practice yesterday, today.
Yeah, we're keeping it as game-like as we can. So Tuesday is going to be a padded practice. Wednesday will be a padded practice, and we'll take the pads off on Thursday. Tuesday for us is first and second down. Wednesday, third down red zone. And then we try to polish on Thursday. We're going to try to keep that momentum going because I think our guys have gotten to a rhythm with that. We didn't practice on Sunday, and we won't practice on Saturday. And then so I think obviously we want to get some of those guys some rest and get them off their feet a little bit and recharge for the second half of this run here. But also continue to work on fundamentals, keep the good on good work going this week. And we got to keep getting better. I feel like we've gotten better, but we can't all of a sudden stall during a bye week and take a huge deep breath and not get better. There's things about the bye week you really enjoy. And there's other things that you kind of wish you continued on that routine because we have gotten to a rhythm here. But I think it's come at the right time, and a chance to also just look at and reflect on these first 6 games. Where are we at? Look at our personnel, look at our scheme, look at things across the board to make sure that we're in the right place. Heading into these last 6 games.
Coach, is this a good time to have a bye week? Because people are saying, well, they're so hot right now,
right?
And I think Garrett Wilson said, things are going on rails right now. Or is this a great time considering you're at the midway point?
Yeah, you could look at it both ways, I guess, and make a case. It doesn't matter because it's here, so we're going to make the best of it. But no, I mean, you could look at it both ways. We're going to use it as an opportunity to again get on fundamentals, get stronger, get better against each other, continue to work on our pad level and execution on all 3 phases, and then also get ourselves some rest so that we can play at a high level when we go to Indiana.
In regard to your second and third quarterbacks, do you feel better about that now that you have 3 weeks of play and you've got more information on them, just in case they are needed even more so down the road?
Yeah, I feel better, like you said, because we have more information. We have real snaps that we can go upon.
when you mentioned fundamentals, and how important are fundamentals like tackling in terms of forming that defensive identity that you guys are trying to form?
Yeah, I think it's huge. You can get caught up in all the scheme of it all, which we have too. We've changed some different things up, but at the end of the day, it's going to be pad level, winning the line of scrimmage, defeating blocks and tackling, and covering, and understanding the drops in the coverage and zone and technique and man to man and those type of things. And when you start going against better players, you really have to go back on those fundamentals. And so, great opportunity this week to rebite on those.
What kind of things are you guys focusing on in practice this week to kind of make sure those, whether it's well-formed tackles, whether it's tackling in space, what kinds of things are you guys doing to make sure that's prepared for the rest of this second half of the season?
Yeah, we'll use some good on good. So the ones will go against the ones, which is we don't do a ton of that in season. We do some, but more, pad level and those type of things, and coverage against our best corners will go against our best receivers, and our best tackles will go against the best defensive ends, and all across the board, so that we're going against really good players every day, and you have to use fundamentals when you do that. There'll also be a lot of teaching opportunities in practice the next 3 days where we can get some things fixed or teach some things that maybe we see projecting out the next couple of weeks that we'll need.
Are you adding things on offense just to give these better teams something to think about? Travion out of the backfield purposely?
Well, I think first off, you always have to try to stay a step ahead, and the good news is, when you have weapons like we do, if they take one thing away, you want to make sure you go attack them in another way. But that's part of this job, is trying to stay one step ahead and figuring out, how are they going to attack you on offense and defense, and having some change ups, but not getting crazy, because you got to, make sure you rely on the stuff that you know really well. And again, that's kind of the art of coaching, especially late in the season.
Is there a recruiting strategy this week? How many people you can see get out, et cetera?
Yeah, we went out yesterday. We'll be out Friday, and it's a great opportunity. It's the first time we've really been out back on the road again, which is really important for us.
You've now seen kind of 6 weeks, or I guess 5 weeks of Stroud here. What's maybe most surprised you, and where do you think that he still has to grow?
I don't know if there's been any super surprises. I think that there's really some good things in there that he's done. He's the last couple games, he's made good decisions. He's seen it pretty well. He's prepared at a pretty high level. He's shown some toughness along the way. But as these games get tighter and they get tougher, he's going to get challenged in different ways. And so the focus just has to be on the process of getting better every day and preparing and taking one game at a time, because, certainly in this league and what we're about to go into, every week is its own, story, and nothing you did the week before matters at all. And understanding that's going to be important.
Second row, middle, Stephen Heath, Cleveland.com.
Recruiting, I think when we asked you over the summer, you said you were pretty happy, pretty pleased with where the numbers were for both classes. Kind of highlighting, you could take your time a little bit, do this more normally. But did you think, where the numbers are right now with both 22 and 23, did you think that's where it would be by this point? Are you still pleased with that? Or?
Yeah. I think we're in pretty good shape. I mean, one of the good things that we're able to do now is to start to evaluate some of the guys who played. It's been a while since some of these prospects have been on the field and actually played in games. So we're gathering that information and evaluating those guys, and so really trying to be thorough about it.
Far left, deep, Brendan Gulick, BuckeyesNow, Sports Illustrated.
Coach, I want to start with a non-football question. Fox and ESPN put out a couple of really nice pieces this weekend about your story and your mental health initiatives. I think it opened the door to a lot of people who had not yet heard that story. Is there anything latest that you can share with us on those initiatives?
Well, we got some great feedback from the On Our Sleeves Foundation over at Nationwide, that they've received a lot of positive feedback and a lot of donations, which is really important for what they do there with the Behavioral Health Pavilion, that really operates on a deficit. They don't make money on that, so they need that in order to operate and to serve Central Ohio area in that area. But I've gotten a lot of positive feedbacks too, just in messages and people reaching out. And the whole idea was to bring attention to it, to maybe help one or two people, and maybe it's more than that, but I just felt like, the legacy of my father now can be felt, that maybe there was somebody, in Ohio or somewhere across the country that saw that story and asked for help, got help, or somebody was able to help someone that they loved and called out something that maybe would otherwise got, pushed under the rug. And it wasn't easy to do, but I feel better afterwards for doing it. And again, maybe it helps somebody out there.
Thanks for your courage and your work with that. A football question on the quarterback side. I want to ask you about just the development of the rest of the room. We've obviously seen CJ really take off. What's the latest that you're seeing in Kyle, Jack, and Winslow?
No, I think that they're much further along than they were, 6 weeks ago. I know they all want to get more reps, and the more reps they get, they feel that they're making progress. But the good news is they've been in some games, and they've learned that you don't get a second chance in a game. You kind of get that way in practice. We call it back, let's run the play again. Well, when you're in a game, you either do or you don't, and that's about competitive excellence, and that's part of a quarterback that you got to understand. And the challenge for being a backup is you don't get as many reps as a starter, and so those mental reps in the back and preparation that way is important. And you see it across the board, whether it's in college football or the NFL, guys who step into that role. It's a unique situation. You have to prepare properly for those types of situations. Some guys step in and you can just tell they're just not quite ready. And then other guys, they've done a great job of preparing that week, knowing that they may never get in the game. And that's a unique situation that they're learning about. And you never know. You might be right in the middle of it. All it takes is one snap, and you're the guy that we need. So I think they understand that, but it's getting more and more real.
Far left, Jared Smalley, WCMA.
Ryan, the TV broadcast this week mentioned that DeJuan Jones jersey is the biggest Nike's ever made. Do you know that's true?
I'm sure it is. Yeah. If it was a bigger one out there, I'd like to see who he looks like. Maybe Shaquille O'Neal or somebody.
Just his emergence this season, I think you all have already showed the physical tools that were available to you with him and his attitude and those things that made him a unique talent. But to see it process on the field where he's grading extremely high every week and being a champion and those kind of things, pretty highly regarded across the country for his work this year. Is he maybe one of those top couple of success stories for the first half of the year?
I mean, I think he stepped in and played well at times. He's done a good job. He's brought energy. He's done a good job in pass protection. I think the big thing with him is you can see what he's capable of. It's going to be the consistency. And again, as we start to go against some of these really good defenses that are coming down the tubes here, he's going to get challenged, and the consistency is going to be critically important because he certainly can do it. And you can make a cut up of, if there's 70 plays in a game, you can make a cut up of 30 or 40 where, man, he's doing a great job. And there's other ones where he's got to figure out what he's doing on that play that he needs to improve on. And that's not unique to him. But one thing I'll say about him is he likes to play. He brings great energy to the games, and he's got a very high ceiling.
Second row right, Austin Ward, Letterman.
Ryan, a month ago, we're in here, talking about the hard conversations you want to have with the defensive staff, and you've seen more pressure from the line, linebackers playing better, secondary across the board. It probably wasn't easy, but have you got the results from that defensive staff that you wanted?
I mean, we'll see. It's still very early in the process, but I think that the overall chemistry, the confidence, and really so far the results have been trending in the right direction. Again, we got some bigger challenges coming here, but as I sit here, I think we're in a different place than we were back then.
You seem, I don't know, maybe emotional a little bit about it with Kerry getting the game ball on Saturday. Why was that? And this probably could have gone a lot of different ways other than the way it is with him. How's that all worked out behind closed doors?
Yeah, anytime you go through a loss like that and you have to kind of recalibrate some things and restructure things, it's tough. And, I've said it publicly already that I just got a lot of respect for the way that whole defensive staff has handled this last month, but in particular, Kerry. And because of that, they've all gelled together with one voice. They've come together, and that defense is coming together. And that doesn't just happen. It takes special people who understand what this place is and what Ohio State means. And you don't act that selflessly without really loving Ohio State and loving Buckeye Nation and these kids. And so when you see something like that, you got to call it out for what it is. And I think it's a great lesson for all of our players.
Along those lines with the defense, how do you know when it's time to add more, and are you there yet?
In terms of
To do more with the defense and add more things to it.
right, I mean that's the art of coaching. There's times where you got to go, you got to put some things in and mix it up. And there's other times where you get done with the game and you're like, man, we did too much, and that's that fine line. And I have actually talked to the guys about that. We got to keep adding, but at the same time, we can't all of a sudden get done with the game and be like, man, we tried to do too much. We're jack of all trades, master of none. Like that's not a good feeling either. And so that's the back and forth conversation that these guys have got to have. And I trust them. I mean, they're preparing at a high level. They're getting the guys ready. They're identifying what their guys can do better now. And so because of that, there's a lot of rhythm. And I also think there's just rhythm in the game right now for them where Kerry's upstairs. He sees it very, very well up there. The information that's coming down to Matt's doing a good job of calling it. Larry's doing a great job down on the field. And so is Al.
And then I talked all season long about paring down the rotations and all of these things. You've got two sets of two linebackers seem to be playing really, really well right now. How would you assess that? And does that surprise you that you can rotate like that?
I think that they're getting better every time they play for sure. We'll see again as we go into these last 6 games where they're at, but there's definitely improvement. And I think when you can play 2 guys at each position, that helps. Let's say you play 70 plays, if each guy can have 35, you can be more efficient. When you cut your plays in half, you can just be faster. You can, you can play with more precision. Just the whole thing. You can focus better. When you cut those reps down, and then as they get more and more reps under their belt, then they can take on more reps. There's still not a lot of guys on our defense that can play a full of the whole game over there. 70 some odd plays, so we get guys in and out, but it's starting to build up. You're starting to see those rep counts add up on some of the guys, and that's a good thing. Because if we're going to stop some of the offense we're about to play, the linebackers got to play well.
Continuing the theme here, but you've talked before about the job that Larry's doing, the job that Kerry's doing, and how that's all sort of funneling together. Obviously, there's staffs out there where they have sort of a run game coordinator, pass game coordinator. Is that what you would kind of call what's happening right now? And is the way it's working giving you any new ideas on how to structure this in the future?
I don't think that we have, really the run game, pass game, but certainly Larry and Al have, a lot of conversations about the run game and how to stop the run, and certainly how to get after the quarterback. And Matt and Kerry, do a great job in the back end in terms of, understanding the coverages, and then they're all getting in there together and putting it all together that way. And I think that's important. And I also think they're doing a better job of meeting together as a group, the entire defense, so that it's heard from one voice. And I think the players, the feedback I'm getting from them is that they appreciate that because they understand how the back end fits in with the front end, and everybody's, moving in the same direction.
Components were all still pretty much in place from the beginning. That collaboration was already happening. What are you seeing or hearing as far as the way Matt is calling the game? Is it decisions he's making in the moment? Is it just communication? What's different and what's been better?
I mean, I don't know if I can name one thing, but I think it's just the whole thing. It's just, job responsibilities and how it's going to, how these guys are going about, putting the game plan together and calling it. It just seems to be working the way it is right now.
Far right, in the back, Zach Carpenter, Leonard Jerome.
Hey, Ryan, I know guys like Paris Campbell really used that little pop pass behind the line of scrimmage really effectively. And we saw a little bit against Akron, against Rutgers, and then even a little bit as sort of a decoy in the Maryland game with Chris Olave going in motion. Just what sort of extra dynamic does that bring to your offense, and is that something that you kind of want to start implementing more?
Yeah, the jet sweep is something that has really come into our game probably in the last 3 or 4 years. It's an opportunity where, one of your guys is running full speed at the snap when everybody else is still, and he can get the ball either on a handoff or a quick toss, and he's going full speed the minute the ball snapped. And so that allows us to attack the perimeter. And we try to find as many ways as we can, whether with bubble screens, running the ball, throwing the ball out there, or this, to attack the perimeter. And anytime you can force them to defend the entire field, now you're creating space for your players. And then the same thing is, vertically. You got to push the ball vertically. And that's the goal of our offense. How can we stretch it this way and this way to create more and more space for our guys? And that's a play that we've used here now. And, we don't use it a lot. We don't try to overdo it, but when appropriate, it's a great opportunity to get our guys the ball out in space.
And I'm curious because I asked Jackson last week, is that something the receivers are clamoring for? Because you talked last week about not wanting to force feed any of the receivers or anybody. So I know that's a great way to get them the ball and kind of get them their touches, but I'm curious, how much collaboration is there in the offense with maybe some of the veteran receivers or veteran guys? Do you talk to them what plays do you like? What are you comfortable with, routes and stuff like that?
We put the game plan together, and then during the week we talk it through with them, and there's certain plays that they really love. Usually it's the ones down the field or where they're touching it, and then there's other ones that just don't fit. And you try to get. And usually it's in practice. You can tell right away. Usually the first couple times you run it, if it looks good and guys like it, then you keep it. If you have to run it a fourth and fifth time and it just isn't working, you're probably better off just throwing it out. And that's where you try to make a decision. You've invested meeting time, walkthrough time, practice time on a play. Do you keep it or do you throw it out? And that's where when you get to that Wednesday, Thursday, you have to make those decisions. But we're always listening to the players' feedbacks, in terms of what they think and what they see on film and how they like certain plays.
Just a few more. Second row left, Steve Hellwagon, 24/7.
Yeah, Coach, you talked about the progress of the linebackers here a couple minutes ago. I think Tony maybe asked you about that. The other two lines of your defense, the defensive line and the secondary, just in general terms, the progress from game 1 to game 6 and what you've seen there and what both those units need to do going forward.
We played a lot of guys up front. We played some young guys up front, and that's been a really good thing for our future. But we need those veteran guys to play well for us in the second half of the season. So looking forward to get Tyreek back and make sure we get through this week with Haskell and hopefully get him back next week. And those anytime you make a run here in October, November, you need your veteran players to play veteran. I think we've created some depth there, which has been good. But the expectation here in the D-line. So looking forward to see that progress being made. And there has been, there's definitely been some really good plays there, and they've gotten in the backfield. And you can see the last couple of weeks we're creating more sacks and creating more disruption in the backfield. And again, as the competition increases, we just have to continue to build on that. In the back end, I think, we've been better. We're better than we were last year. But there's still a lot of things to improve on. Still some young guys out there. But again, it's the same idea. Some of the guys who have played out there before, like Seven and Cam Brown and those guys, we're counting on those guys to be veteran and play for us. But again, I think we're better than we were, but we still got a ways to go.
Ryan, you guys were kind of a headline early in the season with the loss to Oregon. Since then, a number of teams considered preseason have dropped games and kind of fallen off. And some teams that are now being talked about weren't being talked about preseason. And keeping in mind that I know you're focused on your team, but it's an off week, just your perception of kind of college football this year. And maybe there isn't that one elite or two or three elite teams that are going to run through the season, and just kind of what you've seen from the season as you've been able to look around.
Yeah, it's been a unique year so far. Why is that? I don't really know. But maybe it's coming off of COVID. Maybe it's the transfer situation. I don't really know. But yeah, it's been a strange year so far. And I think the teams that just continue to get better week in and week out are the ones that are going to show up here in November. But you got to take care right now. You can't worry about all that stuff. And the good news for us is feel like you hold your own destiny in your hands, and you just got to continue to get better, and that's all you can ask for. And so not something that we were talking about 4 weeks ago, but you're starting to see it a little bit now, and I think the guys are starting to believe. But we got to go out and play really good against Indiana next week, and get that win and keep building from there. There's still a lot of things that need to get done before we consider what's coming next. But it has been a very unique year, and interested to see what these next 6 weeks look like.
And you've talked a number of times today about the challenges that are coming. Do you like the fact that your team has these challenges now, going into the second half of the season, and maybe use that as a motivation? That's not the right word, but looking forward, they know there's something to play for and they know there's opportunity, as opposed to maybe you've had some of those games already in the first half of the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is what you want right now. You want a team that's building momentum and that's got a couple scars on them, and we're starting to get a little calloused and get a little tougher. So, I mean, that's what this thing's all about, is building towards October and November. So, still only coming into Game 7 here, but it's quickly getting upon us, and that is exciting.
And final question, second row rank, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, I got about 100, but I'll ask a couple. Ryan, is there such thing as a player having a knack for kickoff returns? I mean, having a feel for it. I mean, having the vision to see what's happening, but also the bravery to do it. And when did you notice that about Emeka having that?
Yeah, no, I think the answer is yes, there is. And a big part of it is, like you said, having the strength and the size and the courage to run through all that smoke. And that's a big part of it. But we also felt like the guys up front, we had a good group of guys that Parker felt like could give us a chance. And you just try to figure that into it. And when did that happen? You kind of saw it a little bit in preseason, but it was never live. And then, you try to project the best you can. You see him, just his maturity and the way he goes about his business and his toughness in the weight room and just things like that you notice. And then as it's built up, now we have some evidence to show that he can do it.
Two more quickies, if you don't mind. Bill Landis and I were sitting there watching the game the other day. I'm sitting next to Austin and stuff too, but we noticed they ran a little twist in front of Thayer and Nicholas on the left side. And the guy comes inside thinking he's got a free shot, and Thayer's standing there like a brick wall and stuff. And just, when y'all watch those kind of plays on video, what did it just tell you about your line, your veterans? And you show that to DeJuan, for example. I mean, teaching moments. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, just, I think one of the things that our guys have done a good job of is in pass protection is handling the twists and getting their hands on guys and giving CJ a clean pocket. I think that's something that, as you look back in the last 6 weeks, they've done a good job of that. Now, again, some better rushers are coming and more pressure's coming. I got it. But overall, that part's been well done. And a lot of it has to do with how Stud, coaches it and practices it, and the way we challenge each other in practice. But having someone like Thayer in there, is that veteran guy who's seen a lot of that stuff, boy, it goes a long way.
And Jimbo the other night after that win, he wanted his players to feel good about beating Alabama. But what he most wanted them to feel was the work they put in, the preparation they put in, the process. That's what they should be happy about and moving forward is you got here because of this.
Right.
I mean, do you sense your team grasped that too, especially after the Oregon game? I mean, maybe there wasn't that follow-up, but I mean, you sense that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's been our message here for the last few weeks, is just how well you practice during the week is a direct reflection of how you play. Now, it doesn't mean anything. You can practice great all week. It just gives you a chance. You have to still put it on the field, but that's the routine that we were missing. And I think back on last year, I'm not sure we went through a whole week without some sort of an interruption. And so those guys who are freshmen, who are now sophomores, and then the freshmen who are in the program now, who maybe didn't even have a senior year of high school, they had never been through any of this before. And so now that we're getting into that routine, they're understanding that practice really does matter, and that what you do in practice does make a difference on Saturday. And I think they're starting to see that, which is huge. And I'm sure that's what Coach was talking about.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
I would tell you that that obviously this has been the hardest stretch of my professional career, which I would tell you means I've had a really good career. Because if this is the hardest stretch, then life's not going to be too bad. I would tell you, Stephen, that we serve a powerful and wonderful God, and that my friends and family that have shared with me scriptures like James 1:2 or Philippians 1:27 or Romans 8:28 and have continued to lift me up and allow me to be to try to be a worthy man and a man of strength, that has been invaluable, and I have been blessed. I've been blessed by people in this profession, you know, the Mike Tomlins and the Mike Vrabels and the Dick LeBeaus of the world that have reached out and had great advice and great insight into this profession and this career. And so I would tell you that the handling of it is a work in progress. But I would also tell you this, that if I, in my opinion, that handling it in a different fashion, picking up your ball and going home, kicking the can down the road, quitting, packing your stuff up, being a miserable human being. If I had done those things, that would make me a liar to every one of those young men that I've coached along the way that had tough times, that got replaced on a given Saturday or a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon, and had to have the conversation with, hey, hang in there, it's going to be okay. Whether they agreed with the decision or not didn't matter. You have to battle and fight through those players and young men that struggle with the public criticism and the things that are out there in the world today. If you want to look them in the eye and tell them, hey, you need to hang in there. You need to only don't accept criticism from somebody you wouldn't accept advice from. If you're not willing to stand up and do the same thing, then you're a liar to all those people along life's journey. And so that I'm blessed to work here. And the last piece is this: we talk about the brotherhood around here an awful lot. We talk about it an awful lot. And if you believe it and you live it, then when things get tough, it's easy to be a brother when it's 66-17 on a Saturday afternoon. It's hard to be a brother when you face adversity. It's hard. And so if you're here for the other men on this team, the other coaches and the other players on this team, if that's truly what you believe, then you're here with them come heck or high water. You're here fighting and struggling and scrapping. And I love those kids. I love those kids in that locker room. I love those kids on this team. I love the men I work with, and I love Ohio State. And I'm going to be here. I'm going to be fighting and battling and scratching and clawing for the remainder of this season to help us win every freaking Saturday. That's what I'm going to do. And so whether or not I like everything or how everything went, that got nothing to do with it. It's got to do with you got a job to do. You look people in the eye and you say, this is how. And hopefully someday down the road, some young man who had trouble, who faces trouble or adversity, can remember an example of a man who tried to lead with positive energy in the midst of adversity. And if I can do that, then I will have accomplished my goal, as long as we are continuing to progress and win on Saturday afternoons. So thank you for the question. It was a long answer to a short question. I apologize for that.
I'm ready to play football for you, man. Have you had this conversation with recruits about what's going on around here?
No, not. You know what I talked to recruits about? Playing ball at Ohio State, playing ball in an unbelievable environment, being a part of something really special. And so I think recruiting to Ohio State is not nearly as hard as some people would like you to believe. This is an unbelievable place, and so I've had great opportunity to have great conversations with young people all over the country about it. Hi, Dan.
Terry, just what's the adjustment been like for you in terms of changing those responsibilities from going from calling those plays down on the sideline to now watching the game from up in the box?
Yeah, I got to tell you, and I did not. This was another blessing that comes out of tough times. I had not been in the press box for a long time, and when I was, it was my first year at UC, and it was a brief period of time. And I have found being in the press box to be very valuable. It's been something that I think has enhanced my ability to see the game, communicate the game, and I think that's been a real strength over the last couple of weeks. I miss hugging people. I got Kevin Wilson now, and I got to be honest with you, it's not the same. And so You know, that part, that's real. I miss that desperately, being on the sideline, but that's selfish too. And so having the opportunity to go up there and which was my idea, by the way, and be able to see it, and I think really see it and get a feel for the game has been really helpful.
Just staying focused and, staying committed to helping this team win every Saturday. How do you do that? How do you compartmentalize that and make sure you're not thinking about, okay, what could happen after this season?
First of all, I don't have any lack of confidence in my ability to do the job. I think that's important. I feel very comfortable with who I am and how I do my business. And so I get up out of bed every day working on that day, I'm just trying to win. Tuesday, right? Trying to win Tuesday. You know what I mean? And so for me, that is all that I'm trying to do. And when those kids get in here at 2:30, present to them the best options and the best opportunities they have to have success in a bye week and then against Indiana. And that's, to me, that's what you do. That's coaching, so that's an easy thing to do.
Second row right, Austin Ward, Letterman row.
Hi, Austin.
Hey, Kerry. What did you feel when you got that game ball on Saturday?
Undeserving would be the first word that comes to my mind. We got a lot of kids who played their butts off and played in a great environment in a Big Ten game, and a lot of young kids that are starting to grow up and come of age. And so I would say that I felt undeserving. I was shocked. Ryan was standing up there talking about it, and I thought, well, who are you talking about? And then it was me, and then I was embarrassed, to be honest with you. My wife asked me what I said to the kids afterward. I never remember what I said, but I would think it would be some of the same things that I just said to you because they're what was in my heart. I love those kids, and I'm gonna fight for them, and that's what we're doing.
I'll give you a chance to talk about something other than yourself. Then,
good, thank you,
Denzel.
Yeah,
how has this happened? I mean, we were talking to him after Rutgers. Like, I've never had a pick six because I didn't play defense.
Right.
Where did this come from?
Well, you know what? He's a sharp kid, and I appreciate his humility in saying that. But he is having had the opportunity to be here from January and having great opportunity to play in the spring because guys were injured and dinged and getting work. And then I know I've told you guys this a million times, but lining up against our wide receivers day in and day out, you are going to sink or swim. You're either going to find out that you can play or you're going to find out that you can't. And when they find out, those are like sharks to blood. When they find out that you think you can't, they're going after you in practice. And so he's got confidence. He's a work in progress. He's got a long way to go. He's going to end up being a really, really good player here, but so are a lot of guys. And so he's been blessed to have the opportunity to play early and to play well. And I enjoy coaching him.
Third row middle, Tony Grootman, Buckeyes.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, Kerry. Denzel, that demeanor kind of reminds me of Bradley Roby, which is very matter of fact. Do you see some of those same similarities with just the approach and the confidence?
Yeah, I think many of the great ones out there, first of all, they have to have no conscience and they have to have no fear. Otherwise, they can't play fearlessly. They can't be great. And so many of the great ones out there have that. Bradley would challenge me on many other fronts. Denzel doesn't yet, which is good news. But he is a sponge, and he retains what you tell him, and again, he made a critical error on Saturday. And hopefully that's one that he'll learn from and never make again. But he still has not seen everything. And that's part of this process, is the opportunity to see everything. The more you play, the more you get that experience.
And then I asked Brian this. The defense seems to be coming together. How do you balance now you want to add more versus let's not just do that yet?
I think we have to continue to add and evolve schematically because anything that you do all the time or over and over again gives the offense a great advantage. And so I think that is something that we're looking at every week. Certainly in the bye week, you want to study yourself and what have you done over the last 6 weeks and how now are teams going to try to attack us with playing more split safety defense. And so we have to try to stay one step ahead. And I think that there'll be a continual evolution of learning and teaching as we go forward over the next 6 weeks to the Big Ten.
Right behind it, Nathan Bear, Cleveland.com.
Hi, Nathan.
How you doing?
Great, thanks.
It seems like there's been, obviously there has been an evolution at cover safety between Lathan being there to start the year and now what you have going on with Marcus and Cam. I guess, especially in the case of Cam, what has he shown you guys that has led to him having a bigger role? And just how do you see that splitting, I guess, going forward? Because it seems like Marcus is kind of, at least from the last game, jump back into having.
Yeah, what I would say, Nathan, is that our personnel is going to be a continual work in progress, and you will see evolution throughout many of the 11 positions on defense. And some of that is based in the youth that we have, and the fact that some guys are better suited in some weeks to play in some structures than other guys. So you may see games where Marcus plays the lion's share of plays, and then you may see games where somebody else does. And in specific reference to Cam Martinez, he was playing really well in man coverage, particularly against throwing teams. And so that was a highlighted thing. And so based on who we're playing, I think the thing for us going forward is to continue to put the puzzle pieces in the right places for that week and for that game. And sometimes that can be challenging because guys need to flow and guys need to play. And at the same time, there are guys whose skill set is going to match better with certain teams and certain schemes.
From a practice competition standpoint, week to week, something that seems like it probably wasn't there last year.
No doubt. There's no question. I talked to the kids about this last week, as a matter of fact, that the beauty of what we have right now is it's real competition. It's real practice. I mean, we literally went back on Friday and watched practice clips of a couple of kids trying to figure out who is it that may or may not start, how many reps, what's the rotation going to be like. And so we look at our ones versus ones clips. How do they stand up and stack up against our number one offense and those opportunities they have in practice, because that's stuff they're going to see. And so the competition right now, certainly in the back end, is good, and it's making a difference. In, first of all, you got to show up to practice every day. You got to practice hard. Somebody's chipping at your heels. And the good news is, if you didn't play as much last week, you can fix that next week, right? Go have a great week of practice and go fix it and go play more. It's a great question.
Second row right, Tim May, Letterman row.
Yeah.
Hi, Tim.
How you doing, Kerry?
Great.
As you look at the defense from the Oregon game to now, what has been the biggest difference you've seen in it? I mean, obviously you've had some young guys growing up right in front of your eyes. Scheme-wise, y'all made some tweaks, but what is it, the improvement you've seen most?
Confidence. And I think the confidence has come from experience. First of all, you got to play the game to be able, you can say I'm going to be great, but until you do it, until you make plays, how do you know, right? And as much as you want to get that in fall camp and the opportunities we have to scrimmage against each other and all that, Saturday nights, Thursday nights, Saturday afternoons are different deals, and especially with young players. And so hesitance breeds, lack of success. And the ability to play with confidence and to play fast comes from having experience. And so I think that is the biggest marker going forward. I think our kids, things that they didn't know, or they were hesitant or whatever about themselves, separate from the defense and all that. Now they feel like, hey, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And as we continue to find out all the things they can do, I think that helps us with our evolution as well.
And one of the quickie, your observation, if Steel Chambers had been playing linebacker for a couple of years, where would he be now?
Yeah,
or how impressed have you been by his rise? And
I was really impressed Saturday, because here's what Steele does. He sees and he goes. And you say, well, that seems really simple. It's not. It's not. Sometimes guys go and then they see. Sometimes they see and then they go. He sees and he goes. He sees space. He's not always right where he's going yet, right? Because he needs that experience. But when he sees it, he goes. And guys like that are fun to coach. And we've had a bunch of them here. And you guys, some people listed some comparisons. And he's he's going to play more. We go back to the whole experience thing and the competition thing and how things will go at practice. He got to have a great week of practice. But if he sees it and he goes and he keeps doing that, he's going to play a lot of ball for the Buckeyes.
Right next door, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Terry,
Hi, Joey.
when you talk about the defense having more confidence, was there a point in the last few weeks where you started to notice that and felt like they were becoming more confident? Like, when did you kind of start seeing it?
Yeah, I would say probably the Rutgers game. During the game, I felt like they really were locked into and comfortable with what they were doing and running around and making plays. And, there were a couple of, in every game, regardless of what the final score is, in every game early, there are critical plays where guys have to make plays. And there were some in that game and you could just feel it. You could just see it. And sometimes you can see it now from way up here that they're feeling good. They're feeling confident. So I thought that was the first place where you could really see it on the field.
Play come to mind or moment?
I'm bad about that. I don't remember what day it is. So I wish I could tell you, but I thought we had a couple of good third down stops there, and I think our guys started to really feel it.
Right next door, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Gary. It is Tuesday.
Thank you.
There are about 10 things I'd like to ask you. Let me ask you this first. What is your role? What has changed from the time they made the change? What's your role?
I think that it's very hard to describe. I think that we were working as a collaborative unit prior to changing who was going to have the final say on the call on the sideline. So I think that in some ways those things are still true. I have tried to change my role a little bit. First of all, because I'm in the box. Second of all, because I'm spending some time on some other things relative to the game plan that I think are important. And so at the end of the day, there's an awful lot of conversation, obviously, during the week. And then by Saturday, there's still a good bit of conversation, and we will sit together and talk about this place on the field and this personnel grouping and this call versus this down and distance situation, so that by the time we are Saturday, it feels like everybody could make the call, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but
the other thing is
apparently not.
well,
but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't expect you to kind of divulge all your state secrets. Matt Barnes obviously has now gotten a promotion or whatever, but he's been very kind of deferential and careful to not kind of say this is my defense. How has he responded to this? What's your relationship with him like, and what do you think of him as a coach?
Yeah, I think he's a very good coach. I think that relationships are and always should go for all of us well beyond whatever our job descriptions, titles, and those things are. Otherwise, they're pretty fragile, right? They're not really relationships. You're just employees coming to work together every day. So I think that should be true for all of us. And so, I think worked well together before. I think we work well together now. I think you'd probably have to ask him, but I don't think that I don't. To me, it's my responsibility to do a good job in all of these areas. It's my job to walk in the building with a bounce in my step, to high five and hug every single kid I come across, to prepare the team as best I can for it as part of the team of coaches to help us win on Saturday. I mean, that's what my job is. And so and I look forward to it every morning. I don't get out of bed and go, oh man, I got to go to work. It doesn't happen. I told you guys a million times, I get up on the edge of the bed and say, man, it's going to be a great day. Well, it still is. That doesn't change. And if you let your circumstances change that, then I don't know then you were kind of fake to begin with, or you weren't that, I don't know. So I don't know if that's a long answer again to a relatively short question.
Were you able to do that the first day after the change was made, or
no, I'm not going to tell you that. I'll tell you the same thing I tell the kids when they have a tough day or an injury it's okay to be sad. It is. It's okay to be sad. And there's nothing wrong with that. Otherwise, if it's not okay to be sad, if it's not okay to be upset, then what do we all? Then is it okay to be happy, right? So, but that can't last. That's a 24-hour window, and you got to pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you go back to work, and that's what life is. That's true for all of us. So be sad for a day. I'm not going to tell you I was kicking my heels and jumping up for joy. I'm not. That would be a lie. I'd be disingenuous. But I'm going to tell you that I make a conscious decision every day, and even that day, to make sure that I wasn't going to paint that picture for everybody else. Your guts can be turning inside out and upside down, but you don't have to show that to everybody else now. Because that just to me that's just asking for sympathy.
We've got time for one more question. Far left, Jared Smalley, WCMA. Kerry, related to that,
yep.
You've been a very successful head coach yourself, and you ran an excellent high school program.
Thanks.
You coached at all the levels.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if there's an element of respect that you have for Ryan in that position, which you know what that position is like, of having to make a significant decision early in a season because he's trying to do, as you're saying, what's best for the team. Obviously, that's not the decision. You're being very honest about it. That's not what you were rooting for. But is there an element that you understand and you see the big picture of why the head coach has to do something of that nature?
Yeah, I think that here's what I think. And you're talking about that's a tough question to answer, to be honest with you, Jared. So I'd rather you not ask it. Because I have been, and I think that there are things about any situation like that are both good and bad and easy and hard and so I don't know exactly how to answer that best. Do I have respect for Ryan Day? Absolutely. Do I have respect for the university? Absolutely. Do I have respect for how difficult that process was? I do. I do. Do I wish I don't know. Do I wish everything wasn't so public? Yeah, I do. I think public's hard here. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's hard. And so that's it's hard for your family, it's hard for these kids, it's hard. That part is really hard. And so what I would say is that our job, and I can only control me and my response to things that happen in the world. And once again, I want to tell you now, it's the hardest thing that's happened to me professionally. And if it's the hardest thing that ever happens to me professionally, that's a pretty daggone good career. That's pretty good. So, but we can control how we respond to those tough and difficult situations. And Ryan responded in the way that Ryan believed was best for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And that is absolutely 100% the head coach's prerogative. And I've been in that job, and I know that. And so I understand it. And like you said, when you're a part of a team, whether everything's going the way you want it to go or not, you're still part of that team. And so we all got choices. We all got choices. You quit, that's certainly not a choice that I would aspire to. And it's the same thing. Like I said, I've had a lot of kids that come in and knock on that door, and that's what they're thinking, especially in the world of transfer portals and all those kind of things. And if you're going to look a kid in the eye and say, hey man, you got to hang in there. You're part of this team. You're part of this brotherhood. You need to fight. You need to scratch. You need to claw. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get better. You keep working. You keep struggling. You keep knocking on that door. It's going to open someday. You're going to be, then you can't do that and then turn around and walk out and say, well, it doesn't apply to me. That just makes you a liar. It doesn't, I do want you to know, it doesn't shake my confidence in my ability to do the job. It doesn't. It doesn't. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not going to walk out of here fearful of being able to do that job or any other. I won't, because I believe in my heart with every fiber of my being, I'm able to do that job and any other. Present the job. Let's go do it. Let's go do it. I'll take 1, 2, 3, or 4 of you with me. Let's go. I believe that. And I always have. And so I think that helps, to be honest with you. I think that helps in tough situations. Okay. Yeah, y'all have a good day. Thank you. All right,
9 minutes that we can ask the young man, Chris Olave, some questions. And we will open up the floor with front row right here, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Chris, the three of you are putting up some pretty impressive numbers, and it doesn't seem like there's any concern about one guy getting more than the other. What is it like inside that room right now as you all kind of all have a role and are all putting up some impressive stats?
It's fun. I mean, all three guys, we all compete throughout the week. Try to get better and get better every day. So when you show up on the field, we all want each other to get the ball and have fun and make some plays. So we're all happy for each other, and we got to keep going.
As much as you guys compete, though, do you ever take a peek at what Garrett's got, what Jackson's got, a season-long race to get in the end zone the most or most catches?
Not at all. I mean, as long as we all making plays, we're all having fun out there. We're all spraying the ball around. We're all getting touches. We don't really care about that. We just care about winning and just having fun at the most. So.
Back row far left, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for a few minutes. How do you balance rest versus rhythm this week?
Say that again.
How do you balance trying to get healthy and rest your body versus trying to stay in a rhythm and flow of the season when you don't have a game this week?
We had a couple of days off, so we're resting for the bye week. But when we're on the field, we're always trying to get better. I think we got 3 practice days this week, so those 3 days we got to get better and just trying to prepare for the Indiana and Penn State.
I know he doesn't coach your position group or even on your side of the ball, but what are your impressions of Kerry Combs as a coach, and how has he impacted your time here?
He always has energy. You're gonna get the same Coach Combs every day, so that's what I've seen from him, and he's impacted a lot of guys on the team, just not on the defense but on the offense too. So he brings that same energy every day, and that's what we get from him.
A couple in the front calling Gay Rivals.
Hey, Chris, one of the things that when we were talking with Jackson a week ago, he said that you and Garrett have kind of been kind of the leaders to him in his development, and he wants to be the same thing for the younger guys, whether it's Marvin, whether it's Emeka. And I'm curious about, have you seen that from him, and what kind of role has he been playing in terms of the development of those younger guys, kind of the passing of the baton of sorts?
Oh, yeah, of course. I've seen that from Jax. Last year he was a freshman and we had COVID, so he didn't really see much. But just to see that development from him this spring and summer and fall, stepping into that role and taking that starting job, it's a lot there, and the standard's high. So just to see him go above that standard and bring some young guys with him, that's cool to see. So.
You and Garrett, how have you guys kind of taken him under his wing to kind of make sure that he's in a good position to kind of continue the expectation of the Ohio State wide receiver?
We're just having fun out there, really. Just try to make some plays and have fun in practice, and just try to bring him along. Jack's a great player, real talented, so Texas football. So just to make those plays in practice and set the standard and have fun. I feel like Jax is taking that along and setting the bar even higher.
Right in front of him, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Hey, Chris, you're a high school quarterback. Jack Tuttle might be starting for Indiana next week. I mean, what's that like, just kind of seeing what he's doing in Indiana and potentially having that matchup?
I can't wait. I mean, it's one of my best friends from high school, and we still talk to this day. So to see him get that start, hopefully this weekend, when they play, to watch him, and hopefully when we go out there, he's starting. So I can't wait to see him, and I wish the best for him.
As someone who knows him well, what are the things about him that make him a good quarterback, that make him successful?
He's one of the hardest working guys I know. You can't take that away from him. His work ethic is off the charts, and he's always trying to make the right play. Always one of the best leaders I've seen. So to have those characteristics as a quarterback, that's huge, and I can't wait to see him play.
Right in front of him, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Chris, if you were a high school recruit right now watching what you, Jackson, and Garrett are doing, what would you think?
Why not Ohio State? I mean, the receivers getting the ball, 3 receivers in the offense, and all 3 of us getting touches. So why not come here?
I know last year was basically you and Garrett show, but a lot went into why that was the case. Is this it exactly like playing out the way when Brian Hartline recruits wide receivers at the level he is with that, not necessarily the rating, but the quantity. Is what you three are doing right now, is that proof that it actually can work and you can have multiple guys?
Exactly. Yeah, you can have multiple guys. I mean, 3 of us are balling out, but we have so many guys in the receiver room that can do the same thing. So the top 3 guys are balling out and putting up numbers and having fun out here mostly. So yeah, it's the place to be.
Front row, right, Tim May, Letterman Rough.
Yeah, I was wondering, Chris, do you guys have a nickname for Emeka Egbuka, like double E, E squared, anything like that?
Nah, there's no nickname. But I mean, Emeka is getting better. I see him getting better throughout the season. I mean, he's locked in. One of the hardest working guys in the receiver room. So I'm proud of him, and he's doing some damage on kickoff return. So
That's what I wanted to ask you about. What can you speak to what it takes to return a kickoff? I mean, when you watch a guy do it like that, is it how much of it's bravery, how much of it's vision? I mean, you know, as you because you're kind of running into a buzzsaw there,
Yeah.
you know, hoping to come out the other end.
I mean, when you go back on kickoff return, you gotta think about your life really. It's a lot of it's a lot of guys on kickoff running full speed, trying to take the kickoff return head off. So, but it's natural for Emeka back there at kickoff return. If you get a couple blocks, it's gonna squirt through a hole. So I'm happy for him, and that kickoff return team is gonna be dangerous the rest of the season.
Real quickly though, what do you mean natural? What is it about him that makes it natural?
When he sees a hole, he's gonna get through there. He knows how to set up blocks, read blocks, and once he sees a little crease, he's gonna get through there. And you saw it on Saturday. He had a couple good returns, and I can't wait to see him back there the rest of the season.
Right next door, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Chris, have you paid attention or followed much the season that James Williams is at? Even though they lost Saturday, it seems like he's been playing well, having a couple big catches.
Oh yeah, of course. That's my guy. That's my dog. We talk a lot. We got close over COVID last year, so when he left, I missed him. But he's balling out there. I mean, he's working hard, and it's showing up on the field. He's been going crazy out there. So I can't wait to see him ball.
Right next door, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Chris. You broke through as a true freshman late in the year against Michigan mainly. There's so many guys on this team, so many true freshmen that have done it from the start. Denzel Burke and go down the list. Why do you think they've been able to do it, and how impressed are you with that?
I've seen it since the spring. This freshman class is special. There's a lot of guys that can contribute and have contributed. So once they get the opportunity, they're ready to ball. So I know most of them are locked in, and they know schemes. They know the Buckeye culture. So I'm proud of them, and they're doing good this year.
When did you realize they could make an impact so quickly?
Probably in the spring when I seen them play. Trey was huge in the spring, and Denzel. But they stayed locked in and worked hard in the summer and the fall camp. So after the spring, they kept getting better and kept getting stronger and bigger. So once I saw that, I knew they could play here.
Fourth row middle, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Chris over here. Coach Day was saying that he expects the ones to go against the ones more this week as part of practice. What ways, compared to last year, do you feel like this defensive back group is pushing you guys more this season?
I feel like there's more depth at the corner position, and they have a chip on their shoulder. Really, I feel like they come to play and they come to practice every day. They push us every day and help us get better. So they have a lot of confidence over there, and I like that about them, and that makes us better at the end of the day.
At this stage of your career, do you feel like you still need that? Do you still need to get those kinds of looks in practice, and how has it helped you over these first 6 weeks?
Oh yeah, of course. I like to practice, and when I come to practice, I want to get better. So I kind of challenge DBs in fall camp, and they make me better every day. So it makes it easier in the game on game day for the both of us. So I do want to get better, and they help me a lot.
And for a couple more, second row middle, Dave Biddle, 24/7.
Chris, you could have turned pro, and I'm sure there's a lot of reasons you came back. How big of a factor was your faith in C.J. Stroud that he could be a really good quarterback in you coming back for this season?
It's huge. I mean, I've seen him throw the ball my last year, his freshman year. So I had a lot of confidence in him and his arm talent. He's one of he's a rare breed, and I've never seen a guy throw the ball like that. So I had a lot of confidence in him, and that's one of the reasons why I came back to play with him. So
how have you seen him grow from game 1 until game 6?
He was dealing with a little shoulder injury at first, earlier in the season, but to see his shoulder get healthy and to see him finally keep building on his performances and getting better every day, not only on the field but off the field, in the film room, and preparation and all that. He's good, so I can't wait to see him ball the rest of the year.
And final questions, front row left, Steve Hellwagen, 24/7.
Yeah, Chris, Ohio State's won the Big Ten 4 years in a row, and you've got 3 of them yourself. Just this kind of break fits at a good time. You guys are going down the stretch with 6 or 7 weeks here where it's going to be determined in some big-time games coming up. Just how important is it to you to get that 4th one? And what do you say behind the scenes? I know you got to win every day with practice and win each game each week, but how much of a driver is that for you to get a 4th one? Not many guys have that.
That's huge. I mean, we all want to win our conference. That's our goal every year. So, but it's what football is all about. I mean, you come to Ohio State to play in the big games, and we got a couple of big games coming up, and that's why you come here to play in those. So I can't wait to play in them and have fun, and we'll see what happens.
Great. Chris, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Really appreciate you taking the time.
I think so. We can decide on a lot of